Right now, as we speak, a completely new kind of war is being fought. It's not happening on the battlefields you see on the news, but deep in the shadows. It's a war of technology, of proxies, of information. And the connections between what look like totally random global events, well, they're more direct and frankly more shocking than you can imagine. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for the latest updates, and you're going to want to stay till the end because some shocking things are about to be revealed in this explainer. All right, let's get back to it and connect the dots. So while we're all busy watching the borders we recognize on a map, the real conflicts, the real power plays are happening just out of sight. A high-stakes game is unfolding where plausible deniability is the most powerful weapon you can have. And, the first strike, it doesn't come from a trench anymore. It comes from a keyboard or a satellite link. And a huge part of this new battlefield? It's literally in orbit. Way up above us, satellites are being launched, supposedly for commercial reasons, only to secretly change hands after they're up there. They become the eyes for military operations on the ground. We're talking about space-based assets, giving real-time intelligence for absolutely devastating attacks. And then, back here on the ground, on the borders themselves, you can feel the tension. It's palpable. Nations are on a constant state of high alert, rolling out incredibly high-tech defenses against these new, low-flying threats. Basically, trying to build a fortress against an enemy that could strike from almost anywhere. So our whole goal here is to connect these things that seem totally separate. A missile upgrade in South Asia, a drone crash in the Persian Gulf, a leaked video call from Pakistan. I'm telling you, these are not random events. They are all pieces of a single, unfolding story, the story of a modern shadow war. Yeah, this is the pattern that's hiding just beneath the surface of the daily news cycle. It's this incredibly complex web of actions and reactions, of causes and effects. And today, we're going to pull on those threads and reveal a much bigger and, honestly, a much more disturbing picture. Okay, so let's start with our first piece of the puzzle, the tech arms race. We're going to look at India's military modernization, but not as just some isolated move. You have to see it as a critical play in this new, high-stakes game of technological one-upshipment. Now, look at this. What's really fascinating here is the sheer generational leap we're talking about. For the longest time, the Indian Air Force's MiG-29s used the R-73 missile. It was legendary, sure, but it's 40-year-old tech. Now they're swapping it for the ASRAAM. And this isn't just a minor upgrade, it's a total game changer. You've got more than double the range and a seeker that flares can't fool. This gives a pilot the ability to see first, fire first, and win. And this is just brilliant strategy. It's not about upgrading one plane. India is going for what they call a one missile, many platforms approach. By putting the ASRAAM on the MiG-29, the Jaguar, and their own Tejas fighter, you make your logistics so much simpler. But more importantly, it means you can mix and match these jets into a truly lethal, incredibly flexible strike package. And by building it at home, it's a capability they can sustain for the long haul. But hey, this tech race isn't just about multi-million-dollar jets. It's also about fighting new threats, like those cheap, off-the-shelf drones. And this is India's homegrown answer, the Varha system. Now get this, instead of just using radar, which can miss tiny drones, Varha listens. It uses AI to pick out the specific sound of a drone's motor from all the other noise on a battlefield, locks on with pinpoint precision, and then guides a weapon to take it down. That is layered defense at its smartest. So that defensive tech is one side of the coin. Now we're going to flip it over and look at the other side, offensive covert operations. This right here, this is the heart of the shadow war. It's where nations fight without ever declaring war, using other players as pawns, all behind this thick veil of plausible deniability. And here is a perfect example of a tactic from that playbook, in-orbit delivery. A Financial Times investigation actually uncovered how this works. A nation, in this instance China, launches a satellite for what it calls commercial purposes. But once it's safely in orbit, control is secretly handed over to a client state's military, in this case, Iran. Just like that, they have instant eyes in the sky. This timeline just lays out the whole operation with chilling clarity. A Chinese company launches a satellite. Iran's IRGC gets the keys, and just days later, that same satellite is taking pinpoint high-res photos of sensitive U.S. air bases. And here's the kicker. Leaked documents confirm this data wasn't just for show. It was actively used to coordinate attacks that reportedly damaged a critical U.S. AWACS plane. $240 million. Just let that sink in. That's the price tag for a single MQ-4C Triton, the US Navy's most advanced surveillance drone. It's basically a flying intelligence gathering hub. And right in the middle of this escalating shadow war, one of them just fell out of the sky over the Persian Gulf. So, what does the US Navy say? Well, the official line is very cautious. It's a Class A mishap, which is military speak for a very serious, but maybe accidental, incident. They say the cause is under investigation. This is the classic textbook response when you want to control the story and avoid escalating things immediately.
But here is the multi-million-dollar question. Was it really just an accident, or was it something else? Because just before that drone plummeted from 50,000 feet, it transmitted an emergency code, 7700. So did it just have a catastrophic failure? Or, given everything else that was going on, was it taken down by a sophisticated Iranian electronic warfare attack that just blinded it? For a fleet of only 20 of these things, losing one is a massive blow to US intelligence capabilities in the region.
You see, this shadow conflict, it isn't just about military hardware. The consequences ripple out, creating absolutely massive economic and political fallout. We're talking about full-blown economic warfare, state-sponsored extremism, and the systematic suppression of information. In response to those attacks, the US has put a full naval blockade on Iran, and the economic pain is just staggering. Think about it, 90% of Iran's trade comes by sea. The blockade is costing them an estimated $13 billion a month. With exports totally cut off, their onshore oil storage tanks will be full in less than 2 weeks. After that, they have to start shutting down their oil wells, which could permanently damage their most vital industry. This is economic strangulation, pure and simple. And then, this political bombshell drops. In a leaked video, a very prominent Pakistani senator appears to admit that it's not just Palestinian cadets, but actual Hamas fighters who are being integrated into Pakistani military academies. Now, if that's true, this goes way beyond simple political support. This is state sponsorship of a designated terror group. So the fallout from this could be catastrophic for them. It puts Pakistan's very delicate standing with the FATF, that's the global anti-terror financing watchdog, in serious jeopardy. It could trigger severe sanctions, and it could derail the IMF loans that are keeping their economy afloat. And the silence from the Pakistani military since this leak? Well, it's deafening. This case right here perfectly illustrates how information itself has become a battlefield. You have an award-winning journalist who posts a video of what looks like a friendly fire incident, a crashed US F-15 in Kuwait. And what's the consequence? He's immediately detained under a new law against spreading rumors. Just like that, the narrative is controlled. The story shifts from a potential military blunder to an issue of cracking down on the free press. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together now. The advanced missile, the ghost satellite, the downed drone, the economic blockade, that leaked admission. You put it all together and you're looking at the new reality of global conflict. The first huge takeaway is this. The fight for supremacy isn't just about controlling land anymore. It's about achieving technological dominance. The side with the better missile, the more precise satellite, the smarter anti-drone system, that's the side that controls the battlefield. Technology is the new territory. And the second key takeaway is just as important. Nations are increasingly outsourcing war. Why would you risk your own soldiers when you can provide the tech, the funding, or the training to a proxy, whether that's another country or a non-state group? It lets you wage war while keeping your hands clean, maintaining that all-important deniability. Proxies are the new armies, which really just leaves us with one final lingering question. When attacks come from orbit through a third party, when a $250 million drone crash is officially labeled a mishap, and when the journalists who film what's actually happening are silenced, in this world of deniable actions and shadow conflicts, who really gets to write the first draft of history?